A Leadership Guide. Chapter 1. Manager or Visionary. Leadership 1. There are no shortcuts to success. Great leaders are hard workers who respect others. The greatest leaders are people who have personable, respectful relationships with their subordinates. People want a good emotional connection, otherwise they won't like you or respect you. I spent 4 years at a military academy where they told us that leaders were made not born, then spent countless hours indoctrinating us on the qualities of how to be leaders, officers, and gentlemen, which was all a laugh to me because the first thing I noticed was how easily most of my compatriots were brainwashed to act contrary to their true natures and go Machiavellian, trading their true inner dignity for the outer image to be perceived as strong, tough leaders by others, since we were assessed all the time. We even had peer assessments where our peers evaluated us on 25 points of leadership or whatever it was. To me, it was all artificial. It divorced men from being the true nice guys they could have been. They were reduced to a bunch of phonies secretly competing with each other while acting friendly face to face. I ain't a flaming liberal, but I intuitively knew that the system was flawed, that everybody is reduced to being a bunch of obedient, two-faced, phony, ass-covering bureaucrats, all the while fooling themselves with the delusion that they're these elite, officer-gentleman types, which is why I didn't make a career out of it. This may be the way the system indoctrinates people to develop as leaders, but to me, true leadership has an X factor to it. It's a guy or girl who genuinely care about their troops and customers, who have sharp minds, who love their work so much that they are dedicated to it and have a certain charisma about themselves. They have a certain inner standard about themselves and the business they're in. I believe I have this inspired sense about myself, but I'm much too self-centered and loner in my day-to-day life to ever want to lead anybody in anything anywhere. I want to make enough money to pursue my version of hedonism, not be around a bunch of people doing something I have no interest in, which is why I quit the workforce and decided to pursue the means to earn my living on my own. Some people have no intrinsic desire to be successful out in the world or lead others, while others are power hungry in wanting to lead others, which amounts to having temporary control over them. The best leaders lead because it's the means to achieve their ends. It's not for the ego power they get out of being above others in the hierarchy. They do it because they need people to help them achieve what they want to. Analyze yourself to see where you fit in on this continuum. I ain't good leadership material, but I know all about it from my days at a military academy, College Militaire Royal in Saint-Jean, Quebec, between the ages of 17 to 22, quite a place for an ANV kid to be. You learn about the true nature of human nature very quickly. In my case, I became a cynic. I realized that everybody is a self-centered phony motivated by ego, at least while they're young, unproven, and ambitious to be successful out in the world, and still pretty well feel that way. But I realize that most people will give you good effort if you're straight with them without bull and spell out your expectations of them. Some people are actually good and honorable. Most people play silent games of own-upmanship, ego, and power with others, so take it all with a grain of salt. Realize that everyone has their own fantasies in their heads of how great they are and how life should be lived. Don't try to change them. Accept them as is and try to make good use of their skills and talents. Beyond that, don't bug them. They don't want to feel your will imposing on them, nor do they want to get personally involved with you, except for the brown-nosers. This is the way it is. The leader automatically takes on a role where there is an invisible wall between him and the troops. It's there everywhere. Don't try to befriend the troops, just be civil with them. You will have that professional distance, but true leaders also have a certain kind of respect that people give them when they know they're trying their damn best to be genuinely good people to the troops, dedicated to the actual jobs they do, masters at their skill, be it running a company, building a bridge, managing an office of customer service reps, etc. My theory of leadership is the great man theory. Great men are naturally great leaders. They live as noble men and women naturally because that's who they are, and that's what makes them good leaders. If you have read any profiles of the major generals of World War II, you will soon find that all of them were basically one-dimensional egomaniacs except for General Patton, who was a serious craftsman regarding his job as a military leader, lived and breathed his work and cared about the people going into battle underneath him, unlike the others who wanted public glory even at the expense of their men getting unnecessarily killed. In light of all this, I recently uncovered some of my training materials from my military leadership education days and combined them with notes from business classes I took in the 1980s. I present some of the best ones here as discrete bits of information for your perusal. Don't take them as gospel. Just read them through and take what you want from them. Be the best. Make the best products. Provide the best service. A man is a man who looks a man right between the eyes. What this means is that you don't fake it. You don't go into any situation with your status, your reputation, your resume, your money, your clothes, your public image, etc. It's just you right there, one human being interacting with another. No bullshit, no pretense. The leader is the spiritual head. He sets the tone for the group, happy and inspired or scared and petty. They must take pride in their work, otherwise all is lost. They must be made to see that a quality product is everything. The workers make or break a business. Your relationship to them determines how they will perform for you. See the good in people. Try to love them. Focus on that. Treat your best people very well. Get rid of incompetence, because left unchecked, they poison others. Send out the message that you will not tolerate mediocrity. Hold people personally accountable for their work. Focus on the big picture. Let your top people manage the details. Inspire your people with your visions. Your visions are the basic values by which you operate. Quality is values, not just a slick process to improve the bottom line. Never be satisfied. That's perfection, to continuously strive to improve. If you get bored, try to improve something. Keep at it until you get the results you want. Think about constant profitable growth, but not just blind growth. Plan it out well before you act. Have the guts to try new things. What new things do your customers want? Innovation will keep you profitable. Innovation comes from thinking differently, seeing things differently, shaking things up here and there. Leadership too. Get ideas from your ivory tower boys and from the production line boys and girls too. Who are your real customers? What demographic group do they come from? Study these people. Get your ideas from them. What do they want to do or do better? Look for the holes in the marketplace that your competition isn't addressing. Everybody is imitating what's currently hot. Get away from that by looking for a new hole to fill. You can never see the big picture totally and have it all planned out. Things happen in midstream. The marketplace changes. React to it. When you sense a hot opportunity, don't wait too long. Strike while the iron is hot. Most new products fail. Study your product and market well before you dedicate time and money to it. Everything you do, no matter how great and innovative, will eventually be imitated, and a better version will be sold at a lower price. Don't expect constant grand slams, but if you love your work, keep trying. Use Apple and Microsoft for inspiration. They never stop coming up with new things. Culture innovators of your top people. Don't make them bureaucrats. Stay on the main goal. Don't diversify too much. Focus on all customers, not just the best ones. Think new ideas through before you reject them. Use the competition as motivation fodder. You want to be clearly superior to them. Invite your top people to critique your performance and the company. Be really good to your customers. Learn from studying the competition. If something is not working, reevaluate it. If it still doesn't work, get rid of it. Do something else. Set standards of excellence. Look at your competition and set your standards higher than them. Leadership is more about carrying yourself in a noble way than following some rules out of his book. Things can done when you work as a team. Humility is good, but so is arrogance in the right situation. Expand your knowledge of your field and use this to expand your business. Change when you must. Quality is the desire to be the best at what you do. It's not necessarily expensive. It's ultimately cheaper because there are less returns and more business. It's a state of mind. Come off as a human being, not God or King Solomon. You will have bad days and make mistakes. Know where you want to go with the company. Spend the time and money to train your workers right. Tell your workers everything. Be transparent. Don't be humble in business. Toot your own horn. Impress your bosses, workers, suppliers. Trust your common sense. Dress the part of business leader for your industry. Know when to go hard and know when to get out. If your enemies are screwing you, you must be ruthless and overpowering with them. Only show compassion if you have them by the balls. Don't do everything that's asked of you. If you do, it will destroy you by wearing you out. Don't put people down in public. Don't gossip. Workaholism is fine. Most successful business owners are like this, but I was at a public function that hosted several of our high-profile business and political leaders, and to me, they were all sickly-looking white guys who looked old for their age. Not one had the physical vitality I respect in men. Keep your grandiose thoughts to yourself. It's great to have them, just don't go around acting like an egotistical elitist. Think holistically. See the whole picture as opposed to having blinders on. Have your dreams, but don't dream about money. Dream about doing something great for humanity. Don't complicate things. Keep them simple. If you're a leader, act like one. Don't act like a bureaucrat. Dedicate yourself to your profession/business. Be aware of your industry. Constantly learn about it. Surround yourself with trustworthy, dedicated people. Set a standard and live by it. As a leader, be accountable for everything the business does, not like the Enron guys where the big cheese says he is not responsible for what his mice were doing. If you're mean and angry, nobody will warm up to you. You can't fake quality products or trust. Expand to other markets if you think you're ready to. Before you act, think. If you don't know what to do in one case, don't make a hasty decision just because you don't want to look indecisive. Say you don't know, you will study it and get back to it in a day or two. Don't have blinders on. See clearly. Before you hire new people for a high-powered job close to you, hire a PI to check the person out, at least in what he can get in public records. If you want more, get him to do third-person interviews on people close to the candidate, former employer, neighbors, tree shares, family, sports teammates, etc. Encourage people to run their ideas by you. Discuss your thoughts about them. Focus on ability over seniority or titles. Be available and friendly. See it from the other guy's point of view. Network to make contacts. Even if you don't like golf, join the country club and play if that's where the big timers in your industry hang out. Be optimistic. Trust your intuition. Emotionally connect to everyone if you can without being phony about it. Live an energetic lifestyle. If you believe in yourself, don't listen to your critics. Think you're the best at what you do and live by it. Rather than bullshit, say nothing. Leadership 3. A key, perhaps the key to leadership, is the effective communication of a story. Howard Gardner, Leading Minds, An Anatomy of Leadership. Leaders make life important. Different situations call for different leadership styles. You need authoritative leadership in emergency or high-volume work situations where something has to be done by a certain time. With independent people who are good workers, leave them alone. They resent being hassled. Most average people need to be corrected when they mess up. Sometimes they need to be motivated. They're typically insecure. You have to talk to them to make them feel like they have common ground and friendship with you. The collaborative teamwork style of leadership works best in most situations. An easygoing style might be pleasant, but if your too friendly people take advantage of your softness, don't feel accountable and have no definite goals or visions to work towards. Leadership is understanding people and fitting every individual where he or she will do their best work that comes naturally to them. I don't believe in a so-called science of psychology, but you can find books about it at #155-#158 at the library. Many people are comfortable as followers and do not want to be leaders. If you want to be a good leader, develop a work ethic code. Tell your workers what you expect from them. Punish slackers. Get rid of them. Bad apples can ruin everything. Exercise leadership when necessary. Back off when they're doing all right. The leadership books say go on the work floor and talk to the troops. That's all fine and good to get to know them and get ideas from them, but if you do it every day, they resent it because they think you're checking up on them. If it's not broke, don't fix it. If the workers are doing the job, stay out of their way. If you go around with patronizing motivation talk, it makes you look like a trivial nerd. Great leaders trust their men. Their men perform well enough to earn that trust. The most important point is to be flexible. Leadership is dependent on the situation. Charisma is your ability to intuitively sense what's going on quickly and respond with a good decision almost immediately if necessary. It's a flow. You simply feel it. The dimensional model of leadership defines two dimensions: dominance, submission; hostility, warmth. Don't try to be overbearing and dominate every situation. It's not necessary. Insecure leaders try to create fear and blind obedience. Workers will try to sabotage you in indirect ways. Try to create a team atmosphere. Leaders vs. managers. Life is about meeting objectives. Sometimes your objectives cross other people's. Then you have to fight, and you fight to win. What's the point of fighting if you don't win? Peter Monk, CEO of Barrick Gold. A leader serves his people. Less is more in leadership. Of all the crap I've seen written about visionaries versus managers, it's really simple. A visionary leader is someone who uses what he knows as a guiding light while he blazes his own path following his own internal intuitive wisdom. A manager holds onto what he has learned for dear life because he either doesn't have any originality or is too scared to make a move on his own, so he follows the rule book and sticks to the well-worn program that others have set up for people like him. In some roundtable discussion I observed about leadership versus management, the conclusion was plain and simple. Leaders have visions as opposed to managers who are just plodding along day by day. Leaders are not arrogant in the ego sense. They're so focused on their visions that they can't be bothered with their image or status or other trivial matters. It's all about doing a job well for themselves, for some inner code they live by. Visionaries are good people trying to do something good. Managers are petty little people trying to protect their butts and get promoted the piddly little points way, by following the rules, going by the book but doing nothing remarkable. Visionaries are committed to their work by a driving passion. Managers don't really care as long as they follow the rules, do what the employee manual says and dot their I's. A leader is someone you'd want to take home to meet your mother or your wife. A manager is just another generic paper pusher who's probably a nerd underneath it all. Based on a military analysis of leadership, good leaders have the following characteristics. Be modest. Hire the right people. Never live in denial. Always face reality. Do what you're good at. Leave the rest. Treat people as individuals. Willing to consider and try alternative ways of doing things. Are humble as opposed to arrogant. Are fair, don't play favorites. Have a positive frame of mind. Self-respect, respect for others. Listen to their subordinates. Are good speakers. Are honest. Are tough and courageous. Don't sell their souls for anything. Have integrity. If you're a nice guy, take a person for their worth while standing there in front of you, respect everyone, and command a sense of inspiration, then you're a leader. A leader is a guy who makes you feel like you want to work for him as opposed to work based on fear or a measly paycheck. I've observed several corporate leaders by reading stories about them, and the overwhelming clincher is the guy who gets right down there with his boys and girls and tells them that they're creating a destiny for the world, that they're gonna change the world. I watched Bill Gates and Steve Jobs in Triumph of the Nerds, a documentary about the computer industry. Both were good inspirators and motivators, but Steve Jobs, even though he got the job done, pushed too hard and alienated some of his boys, yet a lot of his boys had the sense to realize that if he didn't push that hard, the company wouldn't have become as successful as it got. The point is to push but back off and give them some space too. Have a reason for why you're pushing, not just to increase production to make more money, but a more philosophical reason, like we want to change the world or make it better. My favorite movie about a leader in a corporation is the 1997 movie The Arrow, with Dan Aykroyd playing the part of Crawford Gordon, as a tough, inspired man of vision, the true story of a Canadian company that set out to do the impossible, build an impossible airplane, and they did it until jealous politicians pulled the plug. His style in there is pretty good, all the way from his first inspirational speech to when he tells the guys who have the idea to come over right away rather than wait until Monday. Then he tells the guy who calls him sir to call him by his first name. These are all classical signs of an inspired leader who is intensely motivated to do a job and inspires his workers by being so inspired himself. A good test of true leadership is, what are they like when you're not around? Is it a case of when the cat is away, the mice will play, or do they work fine when you leave? Install a hidden camera. See what happens when you leave for a while. Generic business management books are at number 658 at the library, more specifically #658.3. Some sociological books on leadership are at #303.34. The Maverick Visionary. A man's a man who looks a man right between the eyes and treats him that way. No bull, straight man to man. Despite everything I say about teamwork on the job, which is necessary to unite large groups of people working for a common cause, it doesn't work for the individuals, inventors, innovators, geniuses, and visionaries among us. Most big companies were originally started by one individual or a few individuals who got together to create something with no forethought of what the future would bring, but they did it anyway, come hell or high water. History is fraught with individuals who made the instrumental changes that brought humanity to where it is today, not bureaucrats, administrators, coolies, and yes men. I'm not downplaying these positions, they're necessary for society to function, but the only truly enlightened people within society are those who feel deeply inside that they were endowed with some almost divine mission or purpose and set out to achieve it no matter what. Any semi-intelligent clod can get an MBA, learn all the current diatribe about organizational management, get a job, manage several people in Department Y of Company X, but this is society's plotting path to what it calls success in business. This has nothing to do with the inspiration Edison, Jobs, Wright, Gates, Ford, and Walton felt in their efforts to create something great, not just to manage a company to make money, not even for the express purpose of being great or to make money, but to reach into themselves and do what they felt they were humanly capable of, to reach their God-given potential to help people. I have an eternal curious streak in me such that I must release my intellectual creative energy all the time, both simply to stay inspired about my life and because inherently, I feel this is what I was born to do, to value knowledge and present it to people in as current and enlightened a form as I can get it. I could have been a teacher. In fact, I was educated for it, but after doing it for a few years I felt it was a wasted life and not what I was meant to do, so I set out to do my own thing, experimented with life until I came back to education and realized this is who I really am in my essence. This is what separates the individual from the generic manager following some rules he learned somewhere about how to be a good bureaucrat. The individual does it because he must. He feels it's part of his God-given destiny. The manager does it because somewhere along the way, he got the idea from society that people who go to college, get an MBA, then go off to work as managers at corporations are the successful people in life, so he's following this idea borrowed from his society and not focusing on who he is as an individual, which is why, no matter how successful he gets out there, he will always feel slightly empty, because he's a clone of the system and not following his true individual identity. The individual intuitively knows what to do from within his soul. The corporate clone follows some rulebook outside of himself. Don't just be generic. Stand for something. Have some standards that define you. Regardless of how individual you are, smart individuals know they need allies and kindred spirits to get what they want, so culture yours. As an individual, treat others as individuals. Encourage their ideas. Respect them as individuals. Create teams that encourage individual initiatives. Hold individuals accountable for their actions. Reward good work. Punish poor work. Change comes slowly to people entrenched in one way of doing things. Sometimes it's better to clean house, start with fresh talent rather than try to teach old dogs new tricks. If you're an individual, your base is within you, not in the games people play out there. Avoid the political games people play. In the same vein, your real power is the extent to which others respect you for you, so don't pull rank with that phony position you hold as Chief Systems Officer of bullshit, which is what all titles are. Try hashtag 650.1, hashtag 658.409 or HD57 HD66 at the library. Characteristics of visionaries. Follow the fellow who follows the dream. Movie Finian's Rainbow. There are times at which it is right not to listen to customers, right to invest in developing lower performance products that promise lower margins, and right to aggressively pursue small, rather than substantial markets. Clayton M. Christensen, The Innovator's Dilemma, When New Technologies Cause Great Firms to Fail, 1997. In a book I read about business mavericks, the mavericks themselves identified a number of key characteristics to being visionaries. They don't guarantee success right away. In fact, many said they were dismal failures until they found what they were meant to do that was their own and did it with a divine vengeance, both because this is what inspired them for life and they just knew within themselves that if they worked hard enough they couldn't fail because they were working on a good thing for humanity. Some of the characteristics of visionaries are as follows. Have a true vision that comes from your innermost being, something you can believe in. It must be the true vision from your soul, not an illusion you borrowed from the world. Keep the vision simple. Work hard to make it happen. You are now the embodiment of that vision. Vision is great hope in common. A bunch of people unite to accomplish what they perceive as a great idea. Always be a good guy. The vision is fine if it helps others and in this process you get what you want, but if you go into a narcissistic bubble of self-centeredness, you will alienate everybody around you. You are not running a race to achieve the vision. You are dancing a dance, enjoying your life as you work on the vision, because the vision is a source of inspiration and joy for you. It's not about the vision per se, it's about the process of expending energy to get there. You need strong communication and negotiation skills. You have to be able to deal with people skillfully. Be a good listener. Focus on what the other person is saying with empathy, without judging, but at the same time, be clear about your own position and what you want to make the deal happen. Make the other guy feel good. Don't just do deals, build relationships. Don't be too rigid and one-dimensional. Go with the flow. Bend if you must. Don't worry about your status. Worry about following your true nature and doing a good job like an artist does. Great ideas are a combination of instinct and judgment. They come from your soul. Be aware of what's going on in the world. Use what you know to help your company. Know your own company, product, or whatever it is that you do. Decide in one statement what it is that you do and master it. Decide on what it takes to succeed and do it. Do you have values and principles? Identify them and live by them. What are your weaknesses? Work on them. Identify outside threats. How will you deal with them? Paint a picture in your mind of the person you want to be. Never forget that painting. That's the soul your God gave you. Keep the eye on the prize, the big picture. Dream big. Aspire to do great things. Take charge. Do great things while being realistic. Work hard. Get up every morning with an inspired need to achieve something. Get a thrill out of what you do. Relate to people, everybody you come in contact with. Learn about the real world, analyze it and maximize usage of it. Don't just lead, be a coach, a helper. There is no such thing as perfect security, so don't sit on the fence and dwell on it. Just act intelligently in any situation. Don't necessarily go with conventional wisdom. Think for yourself. Be original. Be happy in what you do. Don't listen to the naysayers. When change happens, either good or bad, don't let it show too much. Be a human being, but you have to be the stable face for your underlings. Regardless of what happens today, tomorrow is a clean slate. Even when you win, don't show arrogance, because there will for sure be a day when you will be eating crow. Stay on an even keel, at least to your workers, all the time. You can be going through a storm inside, but don't let it show. Ignore the stock market. It creates heroes and zeros. It's really all about the real quality of your company away from the stock price. Have guts, the ability to go for it come hell or high water, take a risk. True freedom and success is to do what you want with your life. Make sure you're doing what you want and not just trying to be a success for other reasons. Focus all your efforts on your vision. Have one simple, clear goal. Don't get caught up in details. Build a culture of teamwork. Invite everybody to contribute ideas. Listen to them. Incorporate the good ones. Try to be egoless. It's not about you per se, it's about the company, doing something great. There is always one step between triumph and disaster, which is why you should stay humble and close to your basic roots. Never become a show-off or too big for your britches. You're only human. Most people interpret arrogance as asshole. Always plan things before you do them. Competition is a part of business. Be the best you can be for you, but don't take competition so personally that it destroys you. Be an inspired individual in your own life and in your ability to inspire workers. Creativity, the ability to think outside of convention. Persistence, determination, the ability to come up short and fail and keep going on no matter what. When you go through tough times, stay strong, adjust, keep going. Be in for the long haul. It's not really about getting in, getting out and making money, but building a great company. You must feel that the company has a soul and are not just in it for a quick buck. A few internet CEOs lucked out, but now that we're back in the real world, the cycle seems to be going back to the old-fashioned way again. Work hard, build a solid company. Have patience. Things don't happen overnight. Use your profits to reinvest in the company to make it better. There will be failures, but virtually all successes are built on a string of failures and setbacks. Be audacious, bold, and arrogant at times when you have to be strong and defend your position. Be conventional enough to develop a systematic way of doing things and treat employees at their level. Not all employees are great visionary thinkers. Some are, and you want their input, but some are just functional craftsmen. You need them to create large volumes of product. Change with the times. Reinvent yourself when you need to. Value your employees and treat them well. Value your customers. Give them the cheapest prices and make the shopping experience fun, or at least enjoyable. Don't vary too far from your bread and butter unless the consumers no longer want it. In any event, branch out as you go along. If your company gets big, you will always have opposition when you try to incorporate new ideas. If you have a family, honor them while running your business. Take care of your physical body and watch the stress. Get away from it now and then to refresh your perspective. Some businesses are inherently dull, but it's all about the customer. They want that constant steady service and quality. Think in terms of the world. Expand as you go along. Try hashtag 338.709 or HC112 at the library. There are plenty of books there about corporate leaders and their life stories. Servant leader vs. Power leader. Our system is set up such that the higher we go, the more we insulate ourselves from the people in our organization. This is done partially for vanity's sake and partially to shield ourselves from showing them that we're just ordinary people with a fancy title and a fancy office. The servant leader, on the other hand, doesn't care about these things. He is the humble servant of his people. Whereas our leaders in a capitalist world are supposed to be arrogant and puffed up with pride, the servant leader is a Gandhi or a Saint Francis of Assisi, there to help his people and do the lowliest job if need be, to show that he is there to serve with love in his heart. Leadership one-liners. There are many business leadership books at hashtag 658.4 or HD 57.7 at the library. Leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something that you want done because he wants to do it. Dwight D. Eisenhower. A leader listens with understanding. He or she is willing to discuss problems and is open to any new ideas. A leader helps his people. A leader backs up his people when they're in tough situations. A leader is a team player. A leader is not nitpicky. A leader rules by spirit, not by rules. A leader finds good people then trusts them to do what he says. A leader doesn't hide relevant knowledge about the current situation. A leader won't lie to his people. A leader brings out the best in his or her people. A leader works toward harmony among his people. A leader is always on the lookout for ways to improve. A leader is realistic. He doesn't set impossible goals. Managers organize, schedule, budget, and administrate. Leaders inspire and create. Leaders have a vision. A lot of people fulfill your expectations of them, either good or bad. Treat someone like a genius, they'll try to match it. Treat someone like a dunce, they'll slack off. Psychologists call it the Pygmalion effect. Above all, your character is all you own. Leaders are inspired, creative people who know their own identities. They are enlightened people in and of themselves, kinda like Patton, who was the only one in the bunch who understand the psychology of the Nazis because he was a natural intellectual while the other generals were just going straight ahead by the seat of their pants. He had that deep inner mind that you can't fake. You either have this intrinsic love of life or you don't. In business, you either got these CEOs who are well-rounded Renaissance people or these one-dimensional types geared for the bottom line, profit, but they have their moments too. Leaders try to be positive all the time and aren't serious all the time. They de-escalate the tension to help make things go smoothly. Great leaders are simply there when their customers and workers need them. Great leaders go out of their way to make their employees and customers feel good about themselves and the day. Leaders are always interested in pushing boundaries and exploring. Leaders don't flaunt their higher position or wealth over others. At one time, corporate leaders were responsible members of the community. Nowadays, they're just generic people out for profit. A good leader is in a position to help the community and does. The business schools educate you for conformity. A good leader recognizes the rules but knows it's all about a global vision, the big picture. A lot of people like the lower level managers don't want leaders because it would mean that they would have to rise up to the standard. They would rather live in mediocrity, which is why a good leader has to be a spark plug to get them on fire. People want you to be straight up, consistent and honest. They want to be able to trust you. The way you act is the way you are perceived by others, and this is the real you to them. It's not what you think of yourself in your head. It's what they think of you. Don't push too hard. Everything happens one step at a time. A true leader doesn't think of himself as a hero or a leader, he's happy doing whatever it is he does without trying to be a prima donna. A great leader performs, teaches, inspires, does the job. Look for the good in others and treat them that way. Criticize poor work. Don't criticize the person. Praise in public, punish in private. People will live up or down to your expectations. If you don't have something nice to say, keep your mouth shut. You can't fake it for long. Your real self always comes out after a month or two. People want an emotional connection in order to feel inspired and respected by you. You have to care about them, or at least do a damn fine acting job of pretending to. Whenever giving orders, be crystal clear. Keep it as simple as possible, but not so simple that it loses integrity. Reward good work. Pick the right people for the right jobs. When you have an issue or problem, reduce it to its simplest, most honest terms. Be honest and sincere. Work hard. Be accessible to your workers. Listen to people. Talk at their level. Don't ask for anything you're not willing to do. Don't push your workers unless you're pushing your efforts too. Make the job bigger than your ego. A good leader is not autocratic. He listens to others. When the leader is wrong, he admits his mistake and tries to be better rather than tries to blame someone else. Great leaders are not distant from their people. They're right there with them. Great leaders eliminate much of bureaucracy and keep things simple. Everybody knows who's accountable for what. A good leader is not a macho man but a master of life. Good leaders continue to learn about life and their craft. Good leaders bounce back after all the setbacks of life. Good leaders keep good people, promote them while getting rid of slackers. Good leaders don't manage. They give workers enough freedom to thrive. Good leaders change when they need to and can instill changes among their men to keep things smooth. Teamwork at the leadership level can be good, but there's got to be one final authority who makes the final decisions. Good leaders help their workers learn more, better themselves through the organization, and ultimately help them become leaders themselves. Leaders are conquerors. Managers are bureaucrats. Good leaders help develop other people into becoming leaders. Good leaders know what's going on. Not too much escapes them. Good leaders learn from mistakes. Good leaders are curious about life. Good leaders want to get better. Good leaders listen to others. Good leaders try to create a decentralized, team-like atmosphere. Identify the true problem, then look for ways to solve it, outside the box if need be. Trust yourself. Help people achieve their dreams. Be able to change when need be. Have a strong viewpoint about your vision. Ambition is fine, but without integrity it's nothing. Workers try hard for people they perceive as leaders. Leaders are able to get their workers to change their ways of doing things. Leaders have mutual respect with their people. Power corrupts absolutely. If you leave your bureaucrats alone too much to do their own thing without knowing exactly what they're up to, or leave them in the same position without shaking them up every few years, some will figure out scams to steal from the company, even if it's just stealing a paycheck for doing less than half a job. Don't act superior. Reward and recognize people who do a stellar job. Ask for feedback, then respond to it. Don't fake it. If you don't know something, tell them you don't know and you will try to find the answer by next week. Ask for help when you need it. Admit it when you're wrong. See problems as opportunities to learn something. Trust the workers until they give you a reason not to. Enjoy your work. Be enthusiastic. Be consistent. Don't be friendly today then authoritarian tomorrow. Tell the workers what's going on with the company. Ask for ideas. Try to be personable but professionally detached from the workers. This is the relationship they want to. They don't want to be friends with a superior. They want you to be the authority who they go to for everything. Tell the truth. Listen when workers talk to you. Deal with problems immediately and directly. Chapter 2. Japanese Business Philosophy. Japanese Business Model. The Japanese concept of the corporation is that of a family. They take care of each other and all work for the common good. You can't imitate the Japanese business model because you're not Japanese. The Japanese are polite conformist people brought up in their relatively closed culture, but Americans and the rest of the world are more free, self-centered, and creative in general. In business, you may learn a few things from others, but in the end, to be successful, you have to go back to your roots within yourself, because that's what you know and that's where you feel comfortable, in your own life, in your own culture with your own business methods. The Japanese business model is all about one thing, a combination of family, country, and corporation, a loyalty and patriotism to the particular company you work for, which becomes your god, father figure, and your mother. The deal is we take care of you, you give us your heart, soul, blood, and guts. You dedicate your energy to serving us, we pay you well, help you out and give you good benefits. The whole thing starts in grade school, where the wheels of indoctrination start churning about the concept of success in Japan. There's not much talk about freedom or doing your own thing. Remember, Japan is an island with a finite amount of land and an overabundance of people, so to start off with, it's extremely competitive to get into the finite number of slots at university, then it's extremely competitive to get into the finite number of spots in the corporate world. Some students who fail the national examinations to get into the best universities feel that their life chances are over, hence they commit suicide, such is the extent of brainwash within their system. The kids are all brainwashed into this paradigm as the model of success, so they study very hard to clamor to get accepted into university, not unlike America, then to get accepted as manager trainees at one of Japan's big corporations. Once they get accepted, they're put through a management boot camp lasting anywhere from 6 months to a year or so, something like the capitalist version of U.S. Marines boot camp, except whereas Marines pledge allegiance to country, the Japanese pledge allegiance to their corporation. They sleep in dorms or rooms together, get up early, exercise together, learn the corporation song, the corporate motto, and take classes on how to be good managers. They go out into the corporation, are assigned an older mentor, and are expected to imitate this guy, be like him, follow his lead, and basically jump at his command. They're trying to encourage a family loyalty type thing. After work, they often go out drinking, singing karaoke, hanging out in strip bars and geisha houses, etc. I'm not joking, this is what Japanese businessmen routinely do for fun to relieve the stress of their highly disciplined jobs. As long as they work hard and perform satisfactorily, the company pays them well, helps them buy a house, sometimes in the company-owned apartment building or subdivision, gives them maternity leave, pension, and even takes care of their vacations at company-owned resorts, so it's a package deal in corporate Japan. You give them your heart and soul, work hard, and they will provide you with a comfortable life with permanent job security, and the lines never end. Just about everybody wants to be a corporate executive in Japan. Corporations sometimes sponsor different professional sports teams or sumo wrestlers, so they even tell you who to cheer for. The problem with all this is what some people call a paper tiger, the Wizard of Oz. The emperor has no clothes. Behind the veneer, the Japanese appear to be dull, uncreative people. They're good at copying other people's ideas and making them better, but not too many original things come out of Japan, probably because of the stifling, conformist culture they live in. Behind their success are the human casualties, the workaholic clones who've lost their souls, individual identities, and freedom, and given it all up to the corporation, which inevitably, at some point in time, takes its toll in the form of stress and deep, repressed feelings in the subconscious mind that they're losing themselves as individuals. So a lot of Japanese businessmen cope by drinking heavily, gambling, frequenting brothels, etc. They pay the price by losing the true essence of their lives. Individual creativity is not really encouraged. Everything is focused on teamwork, so people become basically robotic clones and lose their natural inspiration as they give in to endless committee meetings and bureaucracy. The system would be great if the little guy, the independent creative thinker, had some room to offer his input, or maybe even start a business on his own and go with it, but Japan's system is not really structured for that. It's all about the mother corporation. On a TV documentary about a couple of enterprising Japanese students with their own website, the picture of their hero on the wall was Bill Gates, not some Japanese guy. The major Japanese business concept is specialization, repetition. Find something that works and keep getting better at it. When you create hardware, create the software too and sell it. Like if you manufacture VCRs, sell the videotapes for them. If you manufacture computers, sell the software for them. If you manufacture CD players, get in on the CD music market. Don't just limit yourself to electronic components, sell the materials to run them. The problem in Japan is that individuality and creativity are educated out of people at an early age, not unlike America, but America still has room for a few die-hard individualists who go their own way and make it in business, while Japan is all geared for the system. There's not much room for the individual to start small with his own concept and build on it. It's all geared for the super corporation, and success is defined by the guy who gets a good job there. That's their definition of success, and all the brainwashed kids try to make it within the system with no forethought of doing something on their own with their own ideas. Everything is too structured, team-oriented, and boring. That's the bottom line to the Japanese work ethic. No room for the maverick or individual to try something on his own that might work or might flop, but at least a person has the option to try. In America, in Japan, it's the corporate way or the highway, and if you don't conform to ritual and tradition, you're out because they want good, little conformist worker plebeians. In Japan, workers are afraid to speak up and complain lest they get fired. Company loyalty is more like company fear, because they know if they leave one company, they're generally blacklisted, and if they get a job at another company, they have to start at the bottom and go through that slow, tedious promotion process based on seniority again. Books about Japanese business are at #658.00952, 658.5 and HD 70 or TS 155 at the library. gwjapan.com. selectron.com/richard/japan no/index.html. business-in-asia.com/bizwisdom.html. neonhacks.com/japan-hacks. Kaizen, Japanese business. Kai is defined as continuous improvement. Zen is translated as for the better. Kaizen is to make continuous improvements for the better through 1. Process and results. 2. Systemic thinking, teamwork, vision. 3. Non-blaming. Everyone in the company is part of the team. If you get a good idea, you tell management and the others about it. The purpose of Kaizen is to eliminate all waste, from time management waste to wasting product. You find better ways to operate, then put them into the company's standard operating procedures, SOPs. Kaizen has 5 principles, sometimes called the rules of orderliness. 1. Siri, tidiness. Keep it simple. Get rid of all the junk laying around. Get rid of all the junk files on your work computer. Create backups. Less clutter, less time wasted looking for things. 2. Seitan, orderliness. Make a specific place for everything and keep everything in its proper place. 3. Seizo, cleanliness. Keep the workplace clean and neat. 4. Seiketsu, standardization. Create a business guide of rules and procedures and call it the standard operating procedures. 5. Shitsuke, sustenance. Continue workplace education. Kiretsu/friends in business. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. A kiretsu is a family of affiliate businesses or a business group with related but non-competing interests. They rely on each other. They have joint business ventures. If company A needs some work done, they will check within the group first before they go looking elsewhere. The businesses work together for mutual success. They share knowledge and talent. You can create one of these yourself with local businesses. Start up a local business club website. The Toyota Way. The Toyota Way is to help employees continually improve their work. Everyone on the team should be included in sharing good ideas they get about making the business more efficient and better. Get your employees to 1. Pay attention to details. Always return phone calls, spell properly, pass on messages, keep your paperwork orderly, etc. Be professional. 2. Have a clean and orderly workplace. Everything should have a specific place so you don't waste time looking for it. 3. Be polite and pleasant but get to the purpose of the interaction. 4. Treat the customer as though he is the most important person to you right then, at that time. Solve his problem. Don't take another call and keep your customer standing there waiting for you. 5. Spend most of your time on performance, the rest on customer service. 6. Promote a sense of superiority to other companies in the same field. 7. Share knowledge about the field/industry. 8. Sales and marketing makes money. This is where it's at. 9. Have the ego and pride to be outstanding. 10. Keep taking courses in the field. 11. Always look for new ways to sell, new customers. 12. Socialize as a group. Attend trade shows and conventions together. 13. Buy new equipment when the technology improves. 14. Give raises and bonuses to the best workers. Chapter 3. A Leadership Resource Guide. Business Leadership Websites. Try hashtag 658.40 or HD57 at the library. Forbes.com/power, the world's most powerful people. Leadershipcharacter.com/EQ_quiz2.htm, Emotional Intelligence, TUCNET Leadership Group Emotional Intelligence Quiz. 800ceoread.com. Alex-wolf.com, Business Leadership Specialist, Consultant. Allbusiness.com. AmicoMBooks.org. Amane.org, Management. Area-development.com, How to plan your facility. asaecenter.org, the Center for Association Leadership. asaecenter.org/publications resources/knowledgecenter.cfm, Journal of Association Leadership. Autodesk.com. bdd.com/currency. Bender.ca. bettermanagement.com. beyondintractability.org/essay/power. blogs.bnet.com/leadershipnow. blogs.bnet.com/leadershipnow. blogs.bnet.com/leadershipnow/index.php. bnet.com. bpubs.com, Business Leadership and Leadership Qualities Articles. bpubs.com/management_science/leadership. business.com. business.com/directory/human_resources/leadership_and_teams. businessleadership.com.au. businessleadershiptraining.net. businesspundit.com. businesssummaries.com, bizism.com. businessweek.com. cabeln.org, the California Business Leadership Network. camison.bc.ca/ce/business_leadership.php. cbaa.org, Scientology. cbln.com, Chicagoland Business Leadership Network. ceoexpress.com, CEO Express, Instant Internet Command for the Chief Executive. ceoexpress.com, the Executive's Toolbox. ceologic.com. change-management.com/tutorials.htm, Change Management. chiefexecutive.net. cim.ca, Canadian Institute of Management. cio.com, Business Technology Leadership. cio.com/central. successstrategies.com. computingbusiness.co.uk/leadership. conference-board.org. corporateathlete.com. covey.com. cox.smu.edu/centers/MBA Business Leadership. csoonline.com/research/leadership, Leadership and Business Research Center. culturalleadership.org.uk. marklogic.com/company/leadership.html. dalecarnegie.com. dol.gov/odp/program/business.htm, Business Leadership Network, BLN, Mentoring. doors.state.md.us/doors/for-employers/bln.htm, Business Leadership Networks. ecornell.com/catalog/certificates/blshrpc1.jsp, Business Leadership Skills for Human Resource Professionals. eleadership.ca/home/index.php. elearners.com/online-degrees/business-leadership.htm. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/business_leaders_by_year. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/fordham_leadership_academy_for_business_and_technology. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/international_leadership_and_business_society. exam.ta.ac.uk/leadership.htm. excelceo.com, Executive Leadership Exchange, the confidential exchange of ideas. Executive Seminars, Communication and Business Leadership Skills. Pasadena, CA. Executive-book-summaries.com. ExecutiveCounterparts.com. ExperienceItonline.com. FishPhilosophy.com. FranklinCovey.com. GeoLeadership.com. gp-training.net/training/leadership/index.htm, Leadership Online Workshop. gp-training.net/training/leadership/negot.htm, Negotiating Skills. hbs.edu/leadership. hbspress.org, Harvard Business School Press. hellzebergmentoring.org. home.ubald.edu/ntsba/rsh/business-stat/opre/part13.htm, Leadership Decision Making. hpwpconsulting.com, Leadership Training Workshop. ibm.com/CEO Study. ihhp.com, Corporate Executive Leadership Training. ihhp.com, Develop excellence in business leadership by using emotional intelligence to unlock your potential. impressionmanagement.com/articles. inc.com/resources/leadership. itsa.org/business_leadership.html. james.org, Intercultural Management Training for Global Leaders. jboyer.com. justcohit.com. ksg.harvard.edu/leadership. enduranceleadership.com. laynetworks.com/management-tutorials.html. lbln.org, Louisiana Business Leadership Network. leadership.broadcast.com. leadershipandbusiness.com. leadershipandchangebooks.com. leadershipandselfdevelopment.com. leadershipcouncil.org. virgin.com/richard-branson/blog/true-business-leaders-think-differently. centeronline.org, Center for Association Leadership. leadershipinstitute.org. leadershipnow.com. leadershiptrainingtutorials.com. leadershipvillage.biz. leaderu.com. leaderu.com. leading-business-news.com. leadingeffectively.com. hants.gov.uk/education/teach hampshire/leadership-development/developing-talent/ld-tms.htm. advancedleadership.harvard.edu. leadleader.com. lessonsinleadership.com. ltbn.com/articles. ltbn.com/trib, bios of famous business people. mckay.com. madiganmanagement.com. Management Training. mapnp.org/library/topics, Free Management Library. mitaleadership.com, brain-based resources and programs to support leaders to accomplish things never before accomplished by using parts of their brains never before used. maradhandollars.com. audiobooks, business books. nmal.org, National Management Association. paradigmlearning.com. perdidomagazine.com, Leadership with a Conscience. pewclimate.org/companies_leading_the_way_bell C, Business Environmental Leadership Council. portfolio.com, Making Executives Better at Their Jobs. redspark.com. robinshrma.com. saleleadershipcoaching.com. sba.gov/small-business-planner/manage/lead/index.html, Leadership Traits. sbe.nova.edu/alumni/bios, biographies of famous business people. sheldonbowles.com. shelleytaylorsmith.com, champion mindset, business, life, and leadership. slowleadership.org/blog. successful-blog.com. superboss.co.uk. talent-software.com. theinnovatorsolution.com. thekenblanchardcompanies.com. tmcnet.com. tompeters.com. topachievement.com. trumponline.com. tshalffull.blogspot.com, the optimistic side of the daily grind from the perspective of a middle-aged executive. usbln.org, the US Business Leadership Network. vistage.com, Vistage Leaders Program, network with world-leading execs. web.mit.edu/hr/oed/learn/article_list.html. web.mit.edu/hr/oed/learn/leading/index.html, leading and managing others. workforceinnovations.org/business.cfm. wsbln.org, Washington State Business Leadership Network. xyarticles.com/leadership. yourcompany.com/business-leadership.htm. Leadership organizations. nclp.umd.edu, National Clearinghouse for Leadership Programs. claremontmckenna.edu/kli, Kravis Leadership Institute, Claremont McKenna College. cls.binghamton.edu, Center for Leadership Studies, SUNY Binghamton. jepson.richmond.edu, Jepson School of Leadership Studies, University of Richmond. academy.umd.edu, James McGregor Burns Academy of Leadership, University of Maryland. ccl.org, Center for Creative Leadership, Global Leadership Organization. pfdf.org, Leader to Leader Institute, Strengthening Social Sector Leadership. World Leadership Websites. Center for Creative Leadership. ccl.org. Center for Visionary Leadership. visionarylead.org. The center was founded in 1996 as an educational center to help people develop the inner resources to be effective leaders and respond creatively to change. Greenleaf Center for Servant Leadership. greenleaf.org. The Greenleaf Center is an international, not-for-profit institution. Mission is to fundamentally improve the caring and quality of all institutions through a new approach to leadership, structure, and decision-making. International Institute for Global Leadership. global-leadership.com. The institute provides a curriculum in consciousness for young adults from economically developing countries. Leap Africa. leapafrica.org. Inspiring and empowering African leaders. The Leadership Trust. leadership-trust.org. The Leadership Trust is a non-profit association established to build and organize leaders and promote leadership as a profession. youthleadership.com. youthleadership.com. Youth Leadership Education and Development. Vision Resource Center. visionresource.org. Providing new skills and opportunities for young persons so that they can become active and responsible citizens in this global community. Leadership Now. leadershipnow.com. International Youth Leadership Network. IYLN.org. Connect young leaders to existing leadership opportunities and resources.